The NBA regular season is finally here, and with that, we have a whole lot to look forward to. The league is more parity than ever, and an incredible amount of talent taking the floor every night. Though during the 82 game regular season, there are going to be plenty of storylines worth following. There's no shortage of options, but I'm going to take a look at the 5 developments I'm most interested in watching during the course of the 2024-25 season. Being the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers is a daunting task, let alone when it's your first head coaching job and you have the best player of his generation in LeBron James on your roster. That's what JJ Redick faces this year. While you can question the Lakers roster and how they'll fare in a tough Western Conference, I'm optimistic about Redick being a forward-thinking offensive coach who will help the Lakers generate more points out of half-court sets. Based on Redick's interviews and how things looked in preseason, we should also expect some changes to how the Lakers play. This preseason, the team was much more active crashing the offensive glass, and they had more offense develop out of handoffs and coming off screens. After ranking 28th in three-point attempts per game last year, the Lakers were attempting nearly 39 per game this preseason. That total would have ranked 5th in the NBA last year. We should also expect more off-ball movement, which could be beneficial for creating open looks from deep or off cuts. With a passer of LeBron James's caliber, that movement should certainly lead to some high-quality shots. We'll have a better idea of how things look a few weeks into the year, but this is something I'll be monitoring all season long. One thing I always look forward to every season is seeing what young players take their games to an all-star level. We've had at least 4 first-time All-Stars in each of the last 3 seasons, so I'm really excited to see what players take that leap this upcoming season. The first one is pretty obvious. Victor Wembanyama by the end of his rookie year was looking like an all-NBA caliber player, and with his incredible blend of size and skill was routinely doing things most can only dream of. Health permitting, this year should be the first of a long stretch of All-Star appearances. Given what is projected of the Oklahoma City Thunder this season, I'd expect Jalen Williams and or Chet Holmgren to make their first All-Star games. Then it gets a bit tougher, as sometimes it can require injury replacements to get in. Though I think Brandon Miller of the Hornets is certainly capable of making the All-Star game in his second season. Then other notable talents who could break through include Cade Cunningham, Desmond Bain, Alperen Şengün, and Jalen Johnson. The fun thing is, there are other candidates that I didn't even mention, so it's going to be a fun few months watching who elevates their game to new heights. The blockbuster trade that sent Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks was arguably the biggest move of this offseason. While I've discussed how Towns fits with the Knicks and that Dante DiVincenzo is a great addition for the Timberwolves, I'm really interested to see how Julius Randle fits in Minnesota. While Randle isn't the shooter that Towns is, he's very capable of getting downhill and bullying opponents at the basket. The 3-time All-Star is also a capable facilitator who can create advantages for teammates with the attention he draws from opposing defenses. Though there are some questions. While Towns posted up at a high rate last year and was very efficient, there were a lot of instances he got size advantages in the post while sharing the floor with Rudy Gobert. Randle won't have that same size advantage, and the Wolves could have shaky floor spacing when he and Gobert play together. Which brings up the other wrinkles I find interesting. Could Randle have his minutes staggered with Anthony Edwards so he has stretches as the primary scorer and facilitator? Will the Timberwolves go to smaller lineups where Naz Reid provides an outside shooting threat at center to pair with Randle? Then you have the question of what type of lineups the Timberwolves will throw out at the end of games and if Randle will be involved. Randle played just one preseason game with the Timberwolves, so there isn't a large sample to go off of, and with the trade happening so recently, these adjustments could take weeks or months to figure out. Though the Timberwolves are looking to make another deep postseason run, and it's going to be fascinating to watch everything unfold. With 8 out of 15 teams in each conference making the playoffs, you typically have a solid idea of who will make the postseason entering an NBA season. Though a few years ago, the wrinkle of the play-in tournament, where the teams who are 9th and 10th in their respective conferences could compete for the final 2 spots with the teams who came in 7th and 8th came about. This brings up my next question. Who are we going to see be the 9th and 10th seeds in the Eastern Conference? Looking at the East, the top 8 teams health permitting seem relatively safe to predict. Though with people already speaking so highly about the 2025 draft, who will make the effort to push for these other 2 play-in spots? The Hornets on paper make the most sense, as they already have some high-level talent and as a young team could benefit from the experience. Then it gets interesting. Some teams are rebuilding, and we're unsure if the Bulls and Raptors make a run at this or would commit to rebuilds of their own at the trade deadline. This makes the Hawks the other likely candidate to compete for the play-in. They have an all-star point guard in Trae Young, have a solid foundation around him, and should have an improved defense while owing the Spurs an unprotected first-round pick. So there's no incentive to not try and make the playoffs. It's also worth noting the Hawks showed last year that even if you make the play-in, you could still win the draft lottery. Though with the buzz around this next draft class, it will be interesting to see if some teams take themselves out of contention. The past few seasons have had some very notable moves around the trade deadline. In 2022, the Celtics acquired Derek White and made the finals that year, and White was a core player for their championship this past season. The following year, the Suns went all in for Kevin Durant, and then this past season, the Mavericks made some big splashes, acquiring multiple players who were factors in their run to reaching the NBA Finals. So what team is going to go all in at this trade deadline? This year it will be interesting, as the various tax aprons could limit what certain teams can do. The second apron teams are the most restricted, and those include the Celtics, Timberwolves, Bucks, and Suns. The Knicks are locked in at the first level apron, and teams such as the Nuggets, Sixers, Lakers, and Heat are also more restricted making deals and would have to get very creative making the money work. Those teams in particular would be limited, but who else could make a deadline push? The Thunder clearly stand out given their array of young players and treasure chest of picks, though at this point it appears they want to build things organically. The Magic are another team who I believe wants to build organically, but their combination of young players, reasonable salaries, and draft picks could make them a candidate as well. The fascinating thing is, we really don't know who's going to make the splash yet, though I'm sure as the regular season unfolds, that question will become clearer. With that, those are the developments and storylines I'll be looking for during this NBA season. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I can't wait for the next 9 months of high-level basketball to see everything that's been discussed this offseason unfold in real time. If you made it this far, thank you, and if you enjoyed the video, don't hesitate to like and subscribe to stay up to date on my latest basketball analysis.